The first card you have your past is Justice. Um, yeah, this, if you look at this Justice card, this looks like, obviously this is balance and everything, and it looks like this woman has everything together, really. It's like, organized and everything's together and everything's in proportion. And I think someone had this impression of you, like you were this kind of amazing person, which is a good thing, but I think they might have been a little bit intimidated by you, actually. I don't think they thought you were perfect. Nobody's perfect, but I think there was this kind of intimidation. They thought, oh, this person's really good at their work. They do this, they do that. They've got loads of friends and whatever and else. And I'm kind of not quite there. I'm not quite good enough. And I don't think they actually said anything to you. I think this might have actually been someone you might have started to go out with or started to see briefly. Maybe it was someone like that. I think they were feeling a little bit intimidated. They were kind of starting to be a little bit kind of quiet around you and all of that. And I think you were starting to think, well, something's not quite right. They're not being themselves. It's kind of a little bit awkward. And I think what will happen is, if they haven't done this already, they'll probably drift away from you. And this is in the past, so they might have already done this. So, if they have done this, or they've gone a bit cold on you, or whatever else happened, it's not nice, of course, when this happens, but, whatever the reason was, if they couldn't be themselves around you, they're not the right person to have around you anyway, and I think you know that. And, I think this might have been a love connection, or it might have been a friend that might have been turning into that, but I think, they were just a little bit, they couldn't quite keep up, or, they could. I think you were fine about them. I think you were relaxed. I think you're very open to whatever. You don't see that, oh, they're on that level, they earn that, or they do that. You're not like that. You're open to people. This is how they were feeling about themselves, and they were kind of comparing themselves to what they saw you as. And so, that's what I'm seeing. So, it's actually a good thing, because I think this was early days, and I think it was good that you found this out now and not later when you were more invested in them, that this kind of happened. So, I think you also want someone who's strong enough to be a match to, for you, because you're quite a strong person as well. If this is all resonating, it sounds like I'm saying you're so wonderful and you're this and that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you're a strong person because you have been through a lot. But you are quite a strong, you are quite a capable person. You are good at your work. You're always good at all those things, and that can come across as being a little bit like that, a little bit intimidating. You don't mean to be. And some people are fine, some others aren't. And it's really just about, having the right people around you, the people who are going to be themselves and let you be yourself. So I won't say any more about that. So the next card you have for your past is Death. So you're a spiritual person as well. You're a spiritual person, you're a deep thinker. I'm sorry, my voice is kind of going because I'm talking a lot doing these readings. You're a very, very deep person as well. And you might have talked about some of those things as well, and that might have kind of put them off as well. They might have been intimidated by that. I'm not saying don't say this, don't say that, you'll put this off, you'll put this person off and that. That's not what I'm saying at all. Don't let this situation make you want to hide things about yourself. Don't let this change you. Be yourself, definitely. And, I think if you're 100% yourself, then the right people will gravitate towards you, people who aren't intimidated, people who just like you for you. But that sounds really cringy, I know, I'm sorry about that. The other thing I'm seeing in this card is that, death's usually about an ending. I think you did come to some kind of ending, not a complete ending, but some kind of an ending. And I think this might have been an ending with a friend. And I don't think it was a permanent ending. And I think you also got the feeling that, it feels like the end, but it's not quite the end. And I think you're right. You are going to meet again at some time in the future. There was some disappointment around this. I don't think this person treated you quite as well as they should have. I don't think they were a terrible person. I don't think they were horrible to you. I am seeing maybe a lack of recognition and maybe a lack of appreciation. That's what I'm seeing around that. Now, again, I think this friendship is going to continue at some time in the future. But I think when it does continue, it's going to be quite different. It's going to be very, very different. And that's what death is about. It's about either an ending or an ending in the way things are, and a complete change. So, yeah, the dynamic is going to be different when you connect again. I'm really feeling that. It's going to feel like almost like a completely different friendship, actually. And, you know, you're going to be stronger. What I'm seeing is you're going to be stronger this time when you connect. And, you know, you're going to be standing up for yourself a lot more because I don't know if they meant to treat you badly. I don't think they did. I just think they were just in their own head. That's not an excuse, but that's what I'm seeing. So I think this is going to be a completely different relationship, and it's going to be down to you and the way that you conduct yourself and what you'll put up with and what you won't. That's what I'm seeing in that card. So the last card you have for your past is the Ace of Wands. So yeah, I love this card. This is like action, pure action, super duper action. I think this might be about something you really wanted to do, a project you had in your mind. This was like a project or a business. Definitely it was money making, or it was going to be making money for you in the future. But it wasn't just money. This meant a lot more to you than that. It's almost like it was a dream project. I think I saw this in your last reading, actually. Now, I think you tried a lot of approaches to kind of get this off the ground. You know, I think you tried this and then you tried that, and kind of nothing really quite worked out the way you wanted. And I think at this time you might have been at the stage where you're like, well, I don't know what to try next. And I'm really feeling a little bit deflated, actually, because I'm not sure what's going to work. Because I think at the beginning you were so excited about doing this. And then at this time you're like, well, I've tried this and I've tried that. So I don't know what's going to happen with this. Now, I don't think you'll abandon this, and I really hope you don't, because you don't want to, and I don't want you to either, because I think this is going to be something really, really good for you. And I saw that in your last reading as well. Don't abandon this, because I keep on seeing that. Now, I think what's happened is when you first had this dream thing, this idea of doing this, you had a really clear picture in your head of what this was going to look like. Now, it's not going to look like that. And I think that's what you're struggling with. I think you're thinking, well, this isn't going to work, and I can't really see it as anything else. This is what I had in my head. It's going to look like this, it's going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then it's going to turn it. No, it's not. It's going to be completely different to that. It's still going to be the same project, but it's going to look and feel and be a different thing. And I think what you need to do to get this going again, because I think you're like, I've tried everything and I can't get this to go. If this is how you're feeling, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to let go of what you're imagining, this rigid idea of what you're dreaming about. And you're going to have to open your mind and let new things in, new possibilities, new ideas. Because when these new ideas and these new things come in, they're going to be even better than what you're imagining. You just can't see it yet. You think, I can't imagine anything better than that. I can't see anything better than that. This is what I've always wanted. I don't want that other thing. I want this. Well, you're going to have to open your mind, and you're going to have to let these new things come in, because you can't see it yet. But I think these new things are going to be even better than what you're imagining. And I know you can't see that now, but just open your mind, let things come in. And then when the right thing comes in, you'll know it, and you'll be able to go for it and really, really push this, and you'll be able to do this quite quickly. That's what the Ace of Wands is about, putting these ideas into practice and really going for it. And that's what you're going to do. So, the first card you have your present is the Three of Wands. Okay, so again, this is another thing I think might have been in your last reading, because I think you might have a lot of unresolved things that keep on carrying on from week to week. So I think this is one of these things. Now, this is obviously about waiting, this card. Okay, it's a bit of a complicated situation. I'm going to try and explain what I'm seeing. I really hope you understand this. If you don't, please ask me in the comments and I'll try and explain it more to you. But I'll try my best here. It's complicated. So, okay, so someone's waiting. They're waiting. They want to approach you. They'd really, really love to approach you. They're afraid. There's fear around them. And the strange thing is, I think there might also be another person around them. That's what's so weird. So it's like there might be a third party, but I don't think they really want that person around them, which sounds horrible. It sounds like, oh, you still have a chance. They're with someone else. And I'd never, ever tell anyone to kind of, have hope for someone who's with someone else. But I don't think they're really, truly with this person. I think they're kind of on the sidelines. There might be something like a rebound that they're not quite, or it might be a friend that might hope to have more with them. It's another person like that, but it is a kind of a grey area. So that's why I'm saying, caution, be very careful around this. There's someone else around them, and it's kind of a grey area. So, when I see all of this mess and grey areas and all that, my first instinct is to say, well, this is a mess. Run away from this, disappear from this whole thing, say no, walk off. But I'm getting the feeling that this is a bit more complicated than that, especially for you and especially with your feelings. So it's definitely a love situation. And it's so complicated. It's so complicated. This man's holding onto one of these wands, and the other one's next to him, and there's another wand behind him as well. So what I'm seeing is, whoever this is, they're holding on to their fear, which is one of the wands they're holding on to. They want to contact you, which is one of the other wands, but they're afraid and they can't seem to let go of this fear. Now, they left you behind. They probably left you behind at one time. Because he has his back to one of these wands, which is representing you, I think, and he also has his back to us. So what I'm seeing is this person really regrets walking away from you, leaving you behind. They really regret that. They'd love to talk to you, but there's a fear around them. They're hanging on to the fear and they can't quite do that. And it's really complicated because there's also this other person around them as well, which is the third wand in this card. So again, this could be a rebound, could be someone who's sort of on the fringes of their life. Again, I don't think there's a huge amount of interest there, but it's not good to be involved in something like that if it is like that. So, I think they'd really like to be able to resolve this issue of being afraid to approach you, and also they want to approach you. So, but they have this fear. So if this is resonating with you, and if you understand all of this complicated thing, I think you might have to, if you want to be with them, if you want to be around them again, close to them again, if you want to start this up again with them, I think at this time, you're going to have to be the one who has to approach them. I think, I know on principle that, if they left you, they should be the one who contacts you. I know that. I absolutely know that. But they're not going to do that at this time. There's so much fear around them, and that might change at some time, but it's not happening now. So, you might just want to leave this whole thing because it's so complicated and difficult. And you might just think, well, why should I contact them? And that's fair enough. I understand that totally. I'm just telling you what I see is coming from them and how they're feeling. This is what I'm seeing here. So the next card you have for your present is the Six of Pentacles. Okay, so yeah, this is this unfairness, this kind of unfair give and take. And yeah, this is about this friendship I was seeing in the Death card. And I'm seeing a little bit more in this card of, why you felt so kind of hard done by. Obviously, there's a lot of unfairness there. I think you might have, I don't know if they took you for granted, but you felt taken for granted. Again, you are going to resolve all of this at some time in the future, and you will definitely connect again. You did do a lot for this person. Either they didn't realize this, or they were just so in their head that they weren't seeing what you're doing for them. Now, they might have even said some dismissive things about you that might have really hurt you, actually. Some kind of off-the-cuff things without thinking, and you kind of sat back and thought, wow, that's really horrible. I'm getting a bit of that as well. So I think, again, what's going to happen is you're going to come back together. You're going to probably have quite a serious talk with them, because I'm not seeing you being happy to just carry on as if nothing's happened. And there are changes that are going to have to happen before anything's resolved. You have quite a lot to work through, I think, on both sides. And I think you're going to have to think about your boundaries this time. Think about, I will not put up with this. And then you're going to have to stick with those boundaries and be very, very, very rigid with those boundaries if this is resonating with you. And that's what you're going to have to do if you start this again. I hope I don't sound too bossy. So yeah, the last card you have your present is the Page of Swords. So again, this is about this friend. You are going to have this talk with them. They are going to be quite defensive when you start talking to them. They might not totally come around to understanding everything that you've been feeling, but I think they will soften eventually. They will understand a lot more about this. And I think part of the you might be thinking, well, if they don't understand how I'm feeling, I'm not going to forgive them at all. But I think this is a little bit more complicated. I think you're just completely different kinds of people. And what offends one person might not offend another person. So there's that as well. So you do have a lot to work through. And you might get to the end of this and say, no, I don't want to be their friend. But I'm kind of not seeing that. I am seeing you are connecting again. I really am seeing that. So yeah, there's going to be some defensiveness from them, in the beginning, but I think then that's going to soften and that's going to kind of even out for you. So the first card you have for your future is the Seven of Pentacles. Okay, so here we are. I always get this with you, and you know this. You work really, really hard. You always do. You love your work as well, and a lot of your work is going to pay off for you, and you know that, and you know that you deserve this as well. You really do. So I'm seeing financial payoffs here from hard work that you've been doing. Okay, so I'm seeing this other thing here as well. It's to do with this, but it's a little bit kind of like a sideline that I'm seeing. I think part of why you receive so much abundance, or you will if you haven't already, is because you're generous. Now, I don't necessarily mean financially. You might be generous financially, but that's not what I'm seeing here. You're generous with your time, and you're also generous with advice. You're happy to see other people thrive, and you're happy to see other people do really well for themselves. There's just no jealousy there at all, no jealousy in you at all, if this is resonating with you. So this is why a lot of this abundance is coming back to you. It's almost karmic. It's like you're giving and you're receiving. So it's a really beautiful thing to see. Now, sometimes you can be a little bit too generous with your help and generous with your time, which is what I was seeing with this friend. But, don't let this change you. Don't change this about yourself. Because firstly, I think there should be more generous people who are generous with their time and not jealous and want to see others do well. There should be more people like that in the world. And secondly, this is why you're receiving all these benefits. So don't change, because, if you change, you won't receive them anymore, or you'll stop, or you'll get less. Don't do that to yourself. That's what I'm seeing in that card. So the first card you have for your future is the Two of Wands. So yeah, this person who's afraid to contact you, again, this is what I'm seeing. They're still waiting. They're waiting, and they're waiting, and they're waiting, and they're waiting again and again and again. They're still going to be stuck there. They're still going to be stuck in their indecision. I don't know whether you're going to be prepared to reach out to them or not. As an Aries, I would be very impatient with this person, and I just let it go. I just walk off and let them be. I'd be like, well, if they're not going to come up to me, forget it, goodbye. But, you probably feel a lot differently to that. And, I'm also seeing a lot of complicated emotions around this. I keep on seeing that. So that's probably, it's probably not as straightforward as that for you. But what this is showing me is that they see you and they see a life with you as being their best option, even though they're not taking action. That's what they're thinking. They're really feeling that. They're really thinking that. They're thinking, you know, I've got this option, I've got that, not just in people, but in life. And they look at you and they say, well, that's a really good option over there, that person there. I can have an amazing life with them. They're a great person. That's what I'm seeing there. And I think it's taken them a long, long time and a lot of mistakes on their part to be able to see that. You know, this man's looking out over this beautiful view, and you know, he'd love to go out there and experience what's out there. But again, something's holding him back. There's a wand behind him. It's bolted to the wall behind him. So he's kind of stuck on this decision. So all I can say is that's just where they are. Frustratingly, that's where they are. I'm not seeing them changing or anything like that. They might at some time in the future, but they're not now, and they're not in the kind of in the future that's close to you, I should say. What should I say? Not the future that's close to you. I don't know, I've kind of lost my words, but you know what I mean. They're not in the future that's kind of, you know, they're not tomorrow, not the next day, not next week. That's what I'm seeing, probably in the far distant future. I don't know why I can't think of the stupid word. Anyway, I think you know what I mean. But yeah, they're not going to be moving right now. So the last card you have for your future is the Knight of Swords. Okay, so this is what you always do. And you're doing it again here. And I'm not telling you off, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing. You're going to be rushing in, you're going to be moving forward, and you're going to be concentrating 100% on your work at this time. And that's what you do all the time. When you're stressed in other areas of your life, you get stuck into your work and you just totally focus on that. And that's how it is. You know, it's a bit like, you know, if you look at this knight, he's obviously rushing forward and he can only see what's in front of him. If you looked at the view, if you looked beside him, he wouldn't be able to see what's happening because it'd be like a blur. It's just going past him like a blur, really, really quickly. And this is what you're going to be doing for a while, turning these stresses into a blur, blurring them and rushing past them. You're going to put them beside yourself, put them in the background, and you're going to focus on your work. Now that sounds like you're running away and you're escaping and you'll never resolve this, but that's not what I'm seeing here, because I think this actually works well for you as a strategy. It's worked in the past and I think it's going to work quite well here for you. I think, you know, even though you're using this as an escape, it's actually quite good because you when you turn your mind away from all these problems and focus on your work, that's when some of these ideas and solutions are going to come in for you. And again, I've seen you've done this in the past and you've sorted out a lot of problems by doing that. And this is what's going to happen here, I think. I think you're going to say, okay, I know what to do with this person who's not moving forward. I know what to do with this friend. I know what to do with X, Y, Z. Now it's popped into my mind because I've put it out of my mind. I'm on something else. And that's when these are coming in. And I think that's what's going to happen to you. I hope that makes sense to you.